James Thomas Morning Blend. We're still continuing our series on the economic impact and inclusiveness of the African American community. And today, my guest is William Young. Good morning, William. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you this
I'm
morning?
doing great. Now, I've known Bill for a long, long time. I won't say how long, but I met Bill when I was selling clothes at a clothing store, Leading Man Clothing Store. And he and I had lunch one day. And he asked me if I was happy with what I was doing. And I said, yeah, I'm okay. He says, you'll never get rich working for someone else. And from there, I went to sell life insurance. And from there, producing television, my own TV company for the last 31 years. So, Bill, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm originally born in Kansas City, but I've lived in St. Louis since 1968. So that's a long, long time ago. Basically went to college, have a degree in investments and finance. Came back to St. Louis to do some family business, and when I was finished with that, I literally picked up the Yellow Pages, and the first name in that book was A.G. Edwards, and I got hired in a day. The first African American investment broker in the firm. I did 25 years there. I did a lot of different things, individual and institutional investment. After I retired, I took over a money management firm where we managed about $150 million of institutional money, both corporate and not-for-profit and educational money in state of Missouri as well as state of Illinois. Grew that from 15 million to 150 million. I did that for 15 years, and then I decided that I had done enough, so I retired a second time and been involved in many not-for-profit organizations. Did an interim spot, ran Andy Malone for about a year and a half, tried to get it out of trouble. And I served on the Urban League board for about 23 years. So I've been involved in a lot of things over the years, as you know.
As I definitely know. And speaking of the Urban League, let's just say this: how much we miss Jim Buford.
You know, that was my best friend.
Yeah.
And I miss him every day.
So we're doing a series on this show, courtesy of Midwest Bank Centers. And the question we're asking is, we're talking about the economic impact and inclusiveness of the African American community in St. Louis. You've done some volunteer work, Urban League, been on their board, and you did some stuff with Andy Malone. So that'll be the first question I'm going to ask you is, what has been the economic impact and inclusiveness of the African American community, and where can we go?
Well, you know, the idea and commitment to inclusiveness comes from the top. And I've been noticing that there are quite a few new younger people that are joining some of those major corporations around, which is something new. We've got a lot of people that are in very influential positions with some of the major companies. We have several minority firms that are doing extremely well. But still, it's not enough. You know, one of the things, as I say, it comes from the top. Whenever I've been put in a position of leadership in any organization, I always make sure that I do business with my people that look like me. Because if you don't do that, you don't give entrepreneurs an opportunity to grow and prosper. I just did a total rehab of my church, and 90% of all I did with that rehab were with minority contractors. So the real thing is that when you get into a position that you are making decisions, you have to think about how you're going to be the driver of inclusiveness in what you do. When I ran my money management firm, I did the same thing. The only people that were non-minorities were the internet providers and the rent in the building that I was at my place. You have to have the spirit of inclusion. You have to trust. It's the old thing. Other folks' ice is always colder. And that is not the truth. We got a lot of brilliant people that are now in positions of authority and can provide other opportunities, but we've got to trust that our ice is as cold as everybody else's.
Definitely. Speaking of that, the next question I have is this: what impact does access to capital work towards bridging the economic and wealth divide here in St. Louis?
Well, at one time, St. Louis was a headquarters city. We had many, many, many headquarters. In the early 90s, when all the mergers and acquisitions occurred, it gobbled up a lot of the people who knew our community. So therefore, now when you want something, we're a branch town. So they have to call Charlotte, North Carolina, or Chicago, and these people have no idea of our community. So one of the things that has stifled is that we don't have a black bank anymore, which could be a real source of capital. And we have been fortunate that we do have African Americans that are now in management positions with some of the other banks, but it's a little difficult sometimes for them to convince those people that don't live in our city that the investments are viable and important. As far as individual pots of money, there's some national there are some national pots of money out there that are being run on a smaller basis by some African Americans, but still it is very, very difficult to get an idea of the ideas of new areas, new opportunities to convince somebody to get it done. I probably the one person who has done a lot of funding of businesses is Dave Stewart. He's been involved in a lot of things. He's probably the top entrepreneur, African American entrepreneur in our area, and has a tremendous business. But it's more having a good, clean idea of what business you're in, be able to viably justify that, and it's there, but being an entrepreneur is a very, very, very hard job to do, as you know.
As definitely as I know. 31 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So Bill, I appreciate your time today and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Good to see you, my friend.